most importantly, the fact that everything that Microsoft Gaming has already done or will do in the future is now coming officially to other consoles. He even said,
Xbox is dead, man. You hear what these ponies try to tell you, man. I find it so funny that these are the same dudes talking about exclusivity when every single PlayStation game is going to PC, which also means that Sony is going multi-platform too. I told you guys, man, at the end of the day, the budgets of these games need to appeal to more audiences, and unfortunately there's not enough people buying these games. And when I told you guys before of PlayStation games going to other platforms, yeah, because their games are not selling even on their own. Now people can argue, well, that same logic can also apply to Microsoft. Maybe there's some truth to that, but there's also some truth that when we see games like Stellar Blade Rise of Ronin and these games barely can eclipse 2 million, that is definitely a fundamental problem for Sony, which is only going to mean that they're going to want to expand as well, like Microsoft, and put their games on other platforms. It's a pretty obvious concept to understand. But the problem is these PlayStation ponies want to act like, oh, we got exclusives. We just like Nintendo, when you don't buy your games either. So I find it so funny that you guys want to talk about Game Pass Ultimate and how Xbox gamers don't buy their games, but you only have one option, which is to buy your games, and you people don't buy them. Instead, you're buying third party, and now all of a sudden, bought games.
Excited to be putting games onto the Nintendo Switch 2 and the PlayStation 5, which means that really everything is now on the table. Starfield, Halo, Gears of War.
The same games that you guys said that Xbox had no games, now all of a sudden became games miraculously, all because you guys are feeling like you're going to get the majority of these titles. And if you do, nobody cares, bro. At the end of the day, this also shows you that the concept of exclusivity doesn't matter. You guys really think Sony's not going to do the same thing too? I'm telling you, they're going to be dropping a lot of games for that Switch too, which also go against the exclusivity argument that you people keep bringing up. I mean, at this point, you guys are acting as if PC don't exist. Once your games go to PC, you've already opened the floodgates of multi-platform gaming. Because if you guys want to sit there and say, oh, well, PC is not a console, PC is another platform where you could potentially play games. Stop using the fact that I could use it for work, I use it for editing videos, and acting as if people can't use a PC for something else. That's like using the argument, well, I bought a phone to call and text people, when you could do more with a phone than you could do with probably the majority of these consoles. That doesn't mean that people ain't taking advantage of streaming movies through their phone, because the whole concept of a phone is to make calls and text people. See, you people are living in the 90s, man. At the end of the day, Microsoft is going to continue to put games on PlayStation 5, and Sony is going to continue to put games on PC, and inevitably the Nintendo Switch 2.
Forza, Flight Simulator, futuristic games.
Now all of a sudden they like these games. I thought Gran Turismo was better than Forza. Now they even want Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now you ponies are getting awfully desperate if you guys are acting like Microsoft Flight Simulator is now all of a sudden a good game to y'all.
Next, Elder Scrolls. Those are coming to the PlayStation 5 and will probably look better on the PlayStation 5 Pro. But I want to talk about this because...
That's funny, because Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is on the Pro, because that's where my friend's playing it, and he said he really don't see a difference. So, like I said, I guess it depends on what type of game we're working with here, but he told me, he's like, man, he played it on his Xbox and he played the version. It looks identically the same. You guys got to understand, just because your Pro can do a little bit more than the Xbox Series X, if the game is already doing 4K 120, then more than likely it's going to be consistent amongst both of the platforms.
This technically came out on Friday night, and I waited to discuss it because I kind of wanted to see the reactions to it. And I have to admit that maybe it's just my particular bubble, but it does seem about... well, fully third-party Microsoft. But
what do you mean? Sony's third-party too. Once you put your games on PC, if I can access PlayStation games through a Steam Deck, ROG Ally, laptop, and a desktop, that is 4 different platforms. That is the definition of third-party. I find it so funny that you guys give Sony credit for the same thing that Microsoft did during the Xbox One generation. And now that you guys are finally having the option, or should I say the potential, of playing majority of these Xbox games, now all of a sudden they're good games now. And 2, now you guys want to buy these games more than your own console. I mean, more than the games on your own console. But you didn't buy these games. You didn't buy an Xbox to play them. So I'm just like, I'm just confused. Like I'm like, I always thought that ponies hated Xbox games, but time and time again, I'm being exposed to the fact that that has always been a lie.
Let's talk and let's take a look at some quotes, because I do feel like the full implications of these interviews, it isn't fully realized yet. But I feel like only the Xbox side of the fence, only Team Green is talking about how unimportant exclusives are.
I mean, we can clearly see that just from the lack of people buying your own games. Until Dawn Remake sold worse than Concord, bro. I mean, at this point, Microsoft was right. Exclusives is actually what's ruining gaming. And you guys say, how so? Killzone, which happened to be an exclusive, was a failure because the game was locked to a platform where most of the audience didn't care about it. Maybe if Sony decided to expand and put their games on other platforms, maybe these games would stay alive. Maybe that's the concept that Microsoft is trying to tell you, that you guys would rather see these franchises die than to see these games on another platform. Now, mind you, I'm a gamer. I personally don't care. As long as my respected franchises are still alive and I can access and play them no matter what the device is, I'm all for it, man. If Sony came out and say, hey, man, we are revitalizing SOCOM and Killzone, but there's under one condition. Well, what is it? It has to be on PC and Xbox. I'm all for it. You're not going to sit there and hear me complain about it, but you ponies and even you Nintendrones would rather see the franchise go under instead of seeing the game go to another platform. And even though Nintendo is very popular with a lot of their franchises, but the same could be said for them. F-Zero, even Metroid at one point, Donkey Kong. Like, is it really that worth it? You guys got to ask yourself, man. Is it really that worth it just because you want to lock it to a platform even though your audience don't really care enough to go out there and pick up and play it? Make the game multi-platform. Do whatever it takes to get these games successful. Okay? Because there's a lot of old Nintendo franchises that Nintendo just doesn't rekindle anymore because of the lack of sales. Well, I'm going to sit there and say this for even Nintendo, and hopefully Nintendo gamers would agree. For all the games that we want to see, Star Fox and even like a few other games, F-Zero, for example, would you guys rather see those games come to PlayStation and Xbox if they were alive and you guys still have access to it? Or would you rather see the franchise be dead but always be known as that Nintendo IP that nobody played? Like, answer that question in the comment section, and we will know if you're a real gamer or not.
Like, when you look at this, Halo, we've got Master Chief, we've got Mario, and we have Ellie from The Last of Us. And I almost feel like, well, I do feel provably that consoles are sold by exclusives.
No, they're not. That is not true. The only company that can say that is Nintendo. That is it. Not Microsoft. You can, and you know how you can tell? By looking at the top 10 played games, bro. You look at Nintendo's top played games, they're all majority of them are exclusives. You look at Xbox and PlayStation's catalog of the top 10, Fortnite, NBA 2K, Madden, Grand Theft Auto Online. It's the same exact library. Maybe there's some in higher places than each other, but they're all within the same 10.
But not just the current exclusives. It's about the promise of exclusives, right? About when you buy a Nintendo Switch, it's, okay, you already have this many good games, and we're going to keep getting another Mario Kart, another Mario Party.
Yeah, but the difference is they buy those games. Why do you think those games exist? Because the Nintendo community buys their games. Why do you think your franchises don't exist on PlayStation? Because nobody buys your exclusives. Like, it's so funny how Sony gamers want to act like they're Nintendo fanboys when you're not even close, because y'all don't put your money where your mouth is. Instead, you're going to be putting your money with Microsoft.
Another Mario goes shopping.
It's
when
weird.
You buy a PlayStation, you're like, okay, I'm going to get another Gears of War. I'm going to get another God of War. I'm going to get another Last of Us. So I feel like one of the things...
Really? Because we haven't heard from another Last of Us. And the only God of War that we've seen was God of War Ragnarok, which was a cross-generation game. Which means I didn't even need a PS5 to even play it. So what new God of War, what new Last of Us are you talking about? The last of Us game you had got canceled, and it was a multiplayer game.
That's very strange, is that when Xbox starts to say that, yes, you're going to keep getting games, but we don't know when they're going to come out. We don't know how long they're going to be. We don't know how long they're going to be good. You know, you're going to get some Redfalls, you're going to get some Hellblade 2s mixed in with some
That's
actually.
funny because I would go as far to say that Sony has had more failures than any company this generation. I mean, at this point, you already had 10 live service subscription games get canceled. That's not including Rise of Ronin flopping, Final Fantasy 16, Rebirth, Destruction All Stars, Quantum Eerie. We already know Era. Era, and the new Code Violet game. Because like, come on, bro. Like, I'm actually gonna probably pick it up, but I'm not picking it. That's a bargain bin game. Yeah. What games do y'all really have?
Good games like Indiana Jones, but you can also buy them other places. I feel like only Xbox is claiming that exclusives are unimportant, when it feels like to everybody else, these are the backbone of a good system.
Now, if exclusives was important, then the top 10 games of PlayStation would be exclusive games, but it's third party. If exclusive matters so much to Xbox, then the top 10 games of Xbox would be Halo, Gears, Forza, and all the other games, right? It's third party. Even PC, bro. I mean, besides Counter-Strike and a few other games, majority of them are third party. Games that you can play elsewhere. The only company that I can say that is not like that is Nintendo. That is it. Y'all know
I
it.
want to talk a lot more about this and say, one of the things that's funny to me is that I think it's interesting that really it does seem to me, maybe it's projection, it really does seem like Phil Spencer in these clips I've been seeing, he really does seem to be actually excited about this next pivot.
I'm happy. As a person that plays on PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, and other devices, I'm happy to be able to experience my Xbox catalog on other devices. The only people that are going to use this as ammunition is PlayStation ponies. I don't even think Nintendo gamers even gave it that much thought. I think most Nintendo gamers will go as far to say, yeah, I would like to see Star Fox and F-Zero on Xbox and PlayStation if that's what it takes for the game to exist. Ponies don't. Ponies would rather have their franchise, and this is why they have a whole graveyard of franchises that are never coming back, because Sony is stubborn. They would rather have the franchise SOCOM die than for the game to be on Xbox. But even then, they're starting to be more open-minded by saying, you know what? We got a new game. We see what happened with Concord. Put Marathon on Xbox. We're starting to see the future of exclusivity not really mattering as much as you people once thought.
Idea of putting their games everywhere, about having the biggest audience ever for the next Halo, the biggest audience ever for the next Gears of War, the biggest audience ever for if they ever did a Minecraft 2. It's interesting that maybe it is cope, but it does seem like Xbox is excited to have, I don't know, a bigger audience than they've ever had. Now, I will say that Xbox, or if there is another Xbox, it's coming to an end. The entire Xbox console ecosystem is kind of running out of road. But
how can an ecosystem run out of road? I mean, the ecosystem is going to be carried regardless. See, you guys are not understanding, man. Gaming is outgrowing the platforms. That's what you people don't understand. And Microsoft, that's why they mentioned Roblox and Fortnite. They realized that, dang, no matter what platform, where these games are, these are the games that people want to log into. That is the idea that we can make our games far bigger than that, than if we just lock some of these games to the platform. They're starting to realize that. And to be honest with you, it's true. That's why they brought up the fact that these games are the most popular. I mean, look at a Sony game. What Sony game is outbeating Fortnite? None. I mean, it's gotten so bad, bro, that a third-party game outsold PlayStation's whole gaming history, bro. Like, imagine how pathetic that is, that Sony has been making games for over 30 years, and yet all the total sales, if you added all the total sales for all the franchises that they sold, and it still didn't outsell GTA 5, which only is one game out of their popular franchise. Come on, man. You guys got to realize that things is changing, things are becoming more expensive, and during time, things are going to have to adjust to that. And Sony has made those adjustments. Nintendo, they made some adjustments. They removed their home console market in favor of their portable, which they merged. I mean, that's why the portable console can be played on your TV, because they merge both markets.
I'm beginning to kind of change that prediction. I am starting to think that Xbox will continue to exist as a physical box, at least for a while. In fact, there have been talks from Phil Spencer, from other people, that they are talking about letting other people make Xboxes, letting other companies make their own version and slap an Xbox sticker on it. And that seems to me a bit weird because, if anything, I do feel like the biggest thing that has hurt the Xbox brand this generation is the Xbox Series S. Is that right
No,
now?
what hurt the Xbox brand would be the Xbox One. That's why he said, Phil Spencer said, that was an important generation to win. And what he means by that, let me break it down instead of you guys just running with these fanboy narratives. What he's essentially saying that we had a lot of momentum with the 360. We could have merged all those dudes with the Xbox One. Matter of fact, if they had backwards compatibility with the Xbox One, it might have overshadowed the PS4 because the PS4 didn't have that. Microsoft says, wow, if we did that, we could have carried all those 360 owners to the next device automatically before even the games was met. You see what I'm saying? That's why when you look at, PS5 and 4, of course people are going to buy the PS5. They could transfer their games over. Like, I can guarantee if the Switch 2 wasn't backwards compatible, people would be like, I like the Switch 2, but I think I'm going to wait. But the fact that it's backwards compatibility, why wait? You can carry most of your games, they said, but majority of your gaming catalog with the Switch 2. It's a win-win situation. Now people are starting to realize that the PlayStation 2 strategy is what works. Because that's exactly that's what I'm going to call it. The PlayStation 2 strategy. Well, yeah, I would say PS2 strategy because Nintendo, they kind of did it, but PlayStation did it where they had backwards compatibility, carried the audience over. They did it with the PS3, backwards compatibility. It didn't really work because you're telling somebody to pay $600 for a PS1 and 2 that they have, and on top of that, the Blu-ray, even though it was a nice feature, nobody wanted to spend that additional money at that time. So it was a nice thing they did with the PS3. Now they completely abandoned that with the PS4 and made money off their own merits, and that's probably due to Microsoft's mess up with the Xbox One. But that's why Microsoft said that was a generation that they messed up on because they could have took all, like, just imagine, like, if we go back in time and just say the Xbox One backwards compatibility with 360 games, Microsoft would have won the generation off that alone. All the 360 fans, all the hype that the 360 had, but then when you look at Xbox One and it says, you got to buy a Kinect, you got to do this, and people started saying like, why, I can't take my old Kinect, I just bought it for the 360 in 2013, I can't take it over. It's the transition. You guys get what I'm saying? The reason why Nintendo struggled was because they didn't have the transition. Think about it. Y'all want to downplay this, right? But I'm going to explain the transition of gaming. Game Boy to Game Boy Color. Would people be open-minded of going to buy the other device if it didn't have if you couldn't transfer your stuff? Y'all like, snap games. You know what? You're right. I noticed that every console that has where you transfer your old stuff to the next console seems to be successful. Think about it. Game Boy to Game Boy Advance. Because you could take your stuff and transfer. Same thing with the DS. You could take your stuff and DS to 3DS. Take your DS stuff to your 3DS. So that transfer commitment is very important in keeping that diehard audience. And I think that's the reason why Nintendo's portables have always been popular. See, now with the Wii U, yeah, you had the Wii backwards compatibility, but people weren't really caring about all that. You feel what I'm saying? It wasn't... people didn't really care for the games already. So what I'm saying, but that transfer process is what helps keep a lot of their core audience still there.
Now, if you want to put a game onto PlayStation, if you're a developer putting something onto the PlayStation, big beefy boys. So even if we end up selling less than the next PlayStation or selling less than the Nintendo Switch 2, developers will still be excited to put the game on our console because it'll have the best graphics, we can put it in trailers, we can finally say, hey, here's the potential of the world we've made.
So Microsoft more than likely will work with third-party box manufacturers, push Game Pass Ultimate, and then also have access to the Steam. So what that means that I might support that device over the PlayStation because I'm going to get more out of that device that Microsoft is, doing a joint venture with than what I'm getting with Sony. Because I don't really care for Sony games like that. I don't. So if that's what Microsoft's doing, it's actually probably, like I said, it's probably beneficial they do leave because that is what's going to hurt Sony in the end. And then what's even more funny, it might even have free online. See? So I'm actually quite happy for this. If this is the take that Microsoft wants to do, then by all means, as long as I can take my old catalog to this new third-party box that they got, Xbox is still living in amongst our hearts. I don't need the Xbox. Oh, I have to have a label. I don't need all that, bro. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It plays games Xbox, therefore it's an Xbox console. That's all I need to hear. It's a gaming console. Gaming has grown farther past the traditional sense of a console. It's the ecosystem. And once you can maintain, like I'm telling you, man, you don't think Nintendo's like, man, if we don't add backwards compatibility to the Switch 2, do you think these people are going to upgrade immediately? I don't think so. So they already knew. Keep it the same. Tell them to bring their old, not controllers, but games. And that's enough for the Switch 2. Not even in the games. Because think about it. The Switch 2, y'all not talking about all the greatest games that the Switch 2 is going to come out. All y'all talking about is backwards compatibility.
I have seen some people saying, okay, why is it that even though the Xbox isn't selling, why is it that Team Green is still so obsessed with making sure they don't just say the words, Xbox is dead, go buy our games on other systems? Like, even in the interviews, there was a lot
I wouldn't say PlayStation is dead by putting their games on PC. Even if you could play their games multi-platform, I wouldn't go as far to say they're dead. I say PlayStation is dead because they're not making money off their own IPs. Microsoft is making money off, and they're going to make a load of money off this. Okay? Oh, but they don't got a platform. But they still connected with these third-party devices. I mean, if you want to be technical, a PS5 ain't nothing but a third-party device too because it's made by AMD architecture, which is the same exact architecture as the Xbox. Come on, man.
Very dodgy talk. Clearly, Phil Spencer is being told not to say, buy our games on PlayStation. He doesn't want that soundbite to exist. A lot of times he doesn't even say PlayStation. He says Sony. We're working with Sony. Same with the Nintendo Switch, too. A lot of times he says, I'm sending emails. Well, clearly, they're not activating PC gamers to put the Xbox app onto their thing and subscribe to PC Game Pass. Clearly, that marketing has not been as effective as they probably hoped. But the other thing is that, obviously, a lot of these projects that are being at least partially funded, like, my God, that game is just, it's wet dog shit in a fucking Dixie cup. But why am I swearing? Okay, anyways, they made the worst Gears of War. They're apparently helping with the development of Gears of War E-Day.
So, for some quick thoughts, because like I said, he just runs on with the same stuff. Now, like I said before, if this is what Microsoft is planning on doing, which I think most people was fully aware about, well, besides the fanboys, of course, then by all means, man, as long as these franchises still exist and Microsoft is going as far back to revitalize Ninja Gaiden, I think the Xbox is going to be designed for, whoever likes these games, you get them at a valued price. There's still going to be a lot of value there. Oh, well, I'll just buy them on PS. Well, buy them on PS5. I can get access to all these games for right now for $20. So for every $70 that you spend on PlayStation to buy the same games, oh, but we get exclusives. Really? I don't think PlayStation is gonna get exclusives. The exclusives PlayStation gonna be getting is Xbox, which is even gonna be more sad. Y'all, I'm telling you, by this happening, PlayStation is gonna start providing their audience with less and less games. I can guarantee it, because we're starting to see it now. They're like, oh, we don't need to do nothing for our audience, which is only going to hurt the real PlayStation fan. Because a real PlayStation fan is going to be like, yeah, Sony, it's nice that you're putting Doom. It's nice that Xbox is doing all these things. But I bought it for you, baby. I bought it for the Uncharted. I bought it for The Last of Us. I bought it for your games. And that's going to hurt the real PlayStation fan. Because Sony now, they're going to be like, well, we don't really need to do anything. We'll just masquerade and sell Xbox games to our audience, even though they could have picked up an Xbox to do the same thing for a lower value than what we're getting here. So it's just like, PlayStation, I'm telling you, man, you're not going to see PlayStation dropping many games. You're not. And I think that's going to hurt a lot of PlayStation fans, man, Well, I mean, you guys, Xbox games are pretty good, so I'm not going to lie. But I think it's going to hurt those Killzone, the SOCOM, the Folklore, the Heavenly Sword fans. It's going to hurt them a lot. Because, like I said, even for me as a real PlayStation fan, I bought a PS5 for their games, man. I didn't buy them to do this. I'm going to just be honest. I did not buy them to do this. And what's even more crazy, y'all think that, oh, well, Gamester, you see the console war's over, so you're going to buy them on PS5. No. I'm not. I'm still going to pick up the third-party Xbox because that has the value. People have to understand your games are not good. They're not that good. If somebody told me, would you rather pick up the third-party Xbox they got coming out or the new PlayStation 6 with how things are going, I'm picking that up. You get the value, you get the Game Pass, the day and date. Come on, man. I'm still picking up the Xbox over the PS6. I'm sorry. Oh, but you can play them here, man. I'll take the $70 and spend it on the game that they ain't got there. How about that? Like, you people are not realizing, man, the console war is over, man. And Sony, they're going to do the same thing. I can guarantee, and I've said it, they're going to put games on the Switch, too. Watch. Sony, they really got this so far up there behind, they don't even know what to do anymore, man. Even the PC strategy, because what Microsoft's doing is going to work. We know that. But what Sony's doing, it ain't going to work. I don't even think Xbox dudes are going to go even fall for that trap to buy their games. I don't even think Nintendo gamers will. They might for a few nostalgic titles, but I think Nintendo gamers are going to buy Xbox games. Like, this is how I see it, right? Nintendo gamers are going to buy a Switch for their games and Xbox games. People on PS5 are going to buy it for third-party and Xbox games. Have you noticed one thing? Nobody wants to buy your games. Nintendo gamers ain't going to be buying your Sony games unless they're like nostalgic Sly Coopers or whatever. And Xbox gamers don't want to buy your games either. And PC gamers don't even want to buy your games. Your games are not valued. Your platform ain't nothing but another Xbox. And when I find so funny, they're going to cap, oh, it still got the PS5 label. PS5 label? What about them PS5 games? What happened to the days when Sony used to drop out their own stuff? Now they're dependent on Xbox. And when they start dropping games on Switch like Ghost of Tsushima and all that, y'all gonna be like, well, they still exclusive because the Nintendo Switch is a portable and it ain't really a home console. Wait for the cap and the I can't wait for that, man. Because you know these ponies think they got a victory. Yeah, we got them. Xbox is dead. I'm still picking it up. So I don't know what you guys are talking about, Xbox being dead, because to say that, oh, well, we're getting the same games and paying for them, well, I'm getting them for $20 a month. So proceed to pay for these games, because like I said before, all you're doing is making gaming a better place for the people that worship and play these type of games. It is what it is. Because that's why Sony don't come up with their own games no more, man. How many times you hear their own artists? Where the SOCOM? Where the Killzone? Where the Folklore? Where the games that they remembered? Now when I look at PS5, I see Xbox. I look at Nintendo Switch, I'm going to see Nintendo, but I'm going to see Xbox, which is good. But it's like, but I still see Nintendo, though. You put Xbox games on PlayStation, I don't see PlayStation no more. I see Forza now over Grand. I see Gears of War over Uncharted. I see all these other games, Doom Dark Ages over Intergalactic. So it's just like, a PS5 ain't nothing but an Xbox at this point. Because I ain't thinking about your games. I can say Xbox games going to Nintendo, and I still see Nintendo through the Xbox games. Nintendo games going to, I can still see Nintendo, and I can see Xbox if that does happen. Same thing with Sony. I can see Nintendo, and all I'm going to see is Nintendo games. If I see Xbox games, all I'm going to see is Xbox games over your own titles. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully you guys understand where I'm coming from with this video. Because like I said, man, ponies going to act like they got a victory. But guess what? Your games can't even eclipse 1 million. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Take care. Peace out.